Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So, there's been a lot of stuff in the news recently about unions and striking. I don't know which one you started paying attention on. I know a lot of people recently, it's been the Hollywood, the actors and the writers striking it's been catching their attention. Which I know the writers have reached some sort of agreement that they're working through right now, but the actors are still striking. And they've actually pulled in the video game industry into their strike, which I've heard some complaints about, people saying, "Oh, this will delay some of my favorite games from coming out." And yeah, yeah, that's what a strike does. They're disruptive, they get in the way of production, they stop things from happening, and that's the point. Because it's not, it's real people, real workers making these products for you. And they've reached a point where they feel like it's not going to get better unless they take direct action. That's what a strike is. That's why they happen. Most recently, it's been this UAW strike, the United Auto Workers striking in America. And Biden, he showed up at one of their pickets, which is very surprising to me. I think this is the first time a sitting president has showed up at a picket line. And it's sort of, as much as he has a weird track record when it comes to striking, as a president, with the whole legally putting a stop to the railroad worker strike that happened, and now showing up and voicing his support for this one, people will say that, you can't really trust what he's saying there. But I think it's, whether it's a personal thing, whether it's just a, virtue signal thing, however you want to look at it, I think it'll kind of open, it sounds weird to say regular people's minds, to the concept of labor unions. Because, you got a sitting president who says it's a good idea. And he did bring up a good point in his speech, too. I don't know if you paid much attention to this labor union, but in 2008, when the last recession happened, they had a contract agreement that really wasn't in favor of the workers. Things were going really bad, so they had to sort of make some concessions to keep these businesses afloat. And now, and I'm sure this has happened with your bosses too, you keep hearing about this record profits, record sales, record this, record that, but you're not paying your people anymore. And that makes people angry. It's not that like a greed thing or anything like that, but if you keep saying we have record profits and your workers are barely surviving paycheck to paycheck, like something's got to give at a certain point. And yeah, Biden agreed with their statement about a 40% pay increase. That was one of the big takeaways that I remember from his speech. And you had the White House admin like retract, then agree to, then go back on. Like it was all this back and forth as to whether or not he understood the question that was given to them. And I think that's I personally, I think that's sort of a good sign. You know, Biden is showing his personal support for workers, for labor. Most times you get these presidential candidates who they go on the trail and they talk about how much they love the middle class and workers, but then they enact tax plans and enact policies that directly harm them, that enrich the already wealthy, that enrich the owners. So Biden voicing his support for labor, actually coming out for labor, yeah, I think that's a good sign. I hope this keeps happening. I hope they get what they want too. And for you, if you have the opportunity to get into a union, you should. It's probably one of the best ways in this current system that we're in right now to ensure you can keep a job, to keep a high paying job that's not going to fire you for nothing. At will employment, like where I live, it's insane. You can be fired for any reason at any time. A lot of people have this thought about unions allowing bad people to stay employed because they're in the union. And I think it's a misguided way to look at it. Unions should keep people who are good at their jobs employed. Absolutely. There shouldn't be any sort of favoritism, nepotism, sort of, it's not what you know, who you know sort of deal. That stuff only happens when it's at will employment. With my first job, I worked at this gas station and not to brag or nothing, but I was really good at my job. All the vendors liked me, all the customers liked me. I knew most of corporate. The company was one of these mom and pop chains that just got really big. And as much as Republicans love talking about these, small businesses run America, they have a really bad problem when it comes to playing favoritism. This position opened up. It was like this corporate sort of district manager sort of deal that, by all accounts, if it didn't go to a manager of a store, it should have gone to me. And the person who got that job was the manager's son, who that was his first job. Didn't even have a degree. He was fresh out of high school, which, not saying you can't get a job fresh out of high school, but that job should have gone to someone who knew the company, to a worker, not to your family member. So that probably wouldn't have happened under a union. That would have gone to a person who has been in for a while, who knows the job, who knows the work, and frankly, who deserves it. But, you know, find a union, join it, stay a part of it, keep a good job. That's the main takeaway from this. And if something you like is being striked on, support it. Don't cross picket lines. Don't buy those products if the workers are striking, because if you like it so much, those are the people you need to thank, the people who are producing it, not the people who are paying for the factories, the people who are turning the cogs, the people who are making the stuff. Show your appreciation for them by supporting their strikes. I guess until one industry you like starts striking, y'all try to have a good day.